Hey there, Kaola 8th graders. Miss Ray-Budman here with a brief little visual look at lesson 14, which is about the middle colonies, which of course are the colonies in which we currently reside. So the middle colonies were primarily New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. And I just want to show you a few things that go along with your reading on Odyssey-ware and to connect a little bit about why the middle colonies are known as the breadbasket of colonial America. So obviously the 13 colonies were very different in their political and economic development and growth. So the middle colonies, like the southern colonies, had good quality of soil, and they had a growing season that allowed them to have agriculture. That wasn't as popular in the northern colonies, the New England colonies, but in both the middle and the southern colonies, the land was generally pretty fertile. And the middle colonies in particular had the ability to grow some crops that you couldn't find in other colonies. So you'll notice here that not just was it agriculture, but it was also the use of the ports. So ports like Philadelphia and New Amsterdam, which became New York, were really important as exporting areas of the middle colonies. So they could grow food, but they could also export food. They could also export other products like furs and skins and iron and timber. And obviously they weren't really shipping it overseas because it was the 1700s and that wasn't really necessary as much, except for the furs perhaps. But more it was their ability to move it around from within the middle colonies to other colonies as well. So the middle colonies are known for their agriculture, but also they had other products like furs and iron and timber, which the other southern colonies especially did not have. So in the middle colonies, there were four main crops: wheat, rye, barley, and corn. These are very different crops than they would find in the southern colonies, which also were major agricultural areas. But most of the south, they were growing things like tobacco or cotton. They did grow some food, but a lot of it was not a food product. Whereas in the middle colonies, it was mostly grains. And that's because there is rain, obviously, in the middle colonies, but it's not quite as hot. And so because of that, these crops do better in the middle colonies than they did in the southern colonies. Here's an example of Delaware, for example, where the people are out growing wheat. And so that's an important image of why the middle colonies became known as the breadbasket. Think about it. Even today, if you drive around Mechanicsburg, you see tons and tons of corn. And no, today we're not the largest part of the U.S. that grows corn. Obviously now it's mostly grown in the Midwest. But even today, you can see there's a little green spot right here. That's actually Lancaster County, which isn't too far from here. But we're still in this minor crop area. And obviously during colonial times, you can see here that the middle colonies were an important part for corn production. They can grow it now in the South more than they could in the past, but corn is a really important product, not just because we eat it and we can make things out of corn, but also because it allows for cattle. So you'll see in this painting that goes along with our middle colonies, you'll see cattle and horses and, chickens. All of these things eat corn product and other products, obviously, that can be grown in the middle colonies. So unlike the South, where they mostly just grew cash crops, the middle colonies grew food, and then they also were able to have animals that we also eat for food, like cattle and chicken, sheep, etc. So those would be examples of how these middle colonies became really important. And you can see here again, we've got our fur, but we also have cattle, we also have fish, pigs, sheep, all of these kind of products that also are middle colony economic products that go along with the food that can be grown on the ground, as well as the animals who can be eaten and used in the middle colonies. So that's just a quick little look at lesson number 14 and how farming in the middle colonies was historically important and continues to be important today. In 2020, the middle colonies are still an important part of agriculture in America. Have a great week, guys.